Welcome everybody, Professor Cloud here. We are going to be going through what a new player experience or character experience looks like in May 2025 before the Edge of Fate content comes out. This experience should not change much based on what Bungie has said between now and the upcoming update. However, there is going to be a change to the gearing system, so we will not be focusing on that. We'll be focusing on what character creation looks like, what the experience is once the character is created, and then we'll talk about what content is available, where you should go for interacting with either other players, other characters, things like that. And then I'll do a new video talking about the new player experience when the Edge of Fate comes out, focusing more on the gear system. So as you can see right now, I already have a Warlock and a Titan. So this isn't a new player experience per se, because I'm not new, but clicking on creating a new Guardian is going to be exactly the same for you if you are brand spanking new to Destiny as it is for me having almost 700 hours in the game. And that's 700 hours just on PC. I also played Destiny 1 when it came out on the PS4, and I played through that with 2 characters, so I probably have another 100 hours over there as well. So we are going to be going with a Hunter, which is the one class that I do not currently have. Now, each one of the 3 classes is different. Actually, let me go back. The Titan is your frontline soldier. Is gonna be more of a tank. Has the ability to face plant specific enemies. Matter of fact, some of its abilities are exactly that. Face planting them with certain types of elemental powers. Your Hunter is shooting from distance, range, bows, in this case hand cannon, very, very common weapon for hunters to use. Think of them as a gunslinger. That's what a Hunter is. And then your Warlock is your mage. Now, I am a Warlock main, but I am trying to expand my horizons. And try out other characters. Plus, if you want to get titles, specific badges, specific cosmetics, it is good to be able to play as other characters because some of them are or other classes because some of them are tied to other classes. So again, we're going to go with Hunter. I will absolutely be going with female because I always do. And let's see. Now, the only time you will see the face of your character is in the hub areas where there are other players. That's when the helmets come off. But when you're out in the field, you're in a fight, your helmet will always be on. Let's see. Skin color is fine. Eye color is fine. Hair. New. Let's see. Alright, let's go with that. And then hair color, I want to go red. And then you can put markings. Let's go with that. And let's go blue. There we go. And finish. I'm just trying to be quick about this. So, you will see here, this is the starting emblem or badge of your character. And then you will see a number here. That is your power level number. The power level is determined in this version by the average of all of the gear that you have equipped. So all of your armor, as well as all of your weapons, average together their power levels to create the number for your character. That then determines, in some instances, the power level of the enemies that you're fighting in content. It will also, in some instances, determine how far away from the power level of the enemies, because in some types of content, the enemy power levels are static, and you either have to come up or be above those particular enemy levels. So as you can see here, we are at 1911. The other thing is the character boost. This will allow you to, via purchase, complete 2 of the campaigns so that you get all of the rewards from those campaigns. There are good reasons for doing so, especially if you've already played through the campaigns with a character, which I already have. It will give you access to other subclasses, and we'll talk about that later, because every single one of the classes have 6 subclasses, and those subclasses basically refer to elements that the particular character can leverage. I do love that intro.
Some say this universe is made of light and darkness. These ancient forces flow through all matter and energy in our solar system and beyond. But we haven't always known this. When the Traveler arrived in our solar system, they called it many things. A ship, a planet, a god. Its presence provoked and inspired great change. It terraformed several moons and planets. Our lifespans increased threefold. And we launched colony ships to settle worlds beyond our own. This was our golden age. But like all golden ages, it was doomed to collapse. The Traveler was pursued by an ancient enemy, a voice in the darkness. It found us. Humanity lost everything. With the last of its strength, the Traveler pushed back its enemy to create something new. The ghosts. In the dark times that followed the collapse, the ghosts chose the first Lightbearers. Immortal warriors gifted with the power of the Traveler's light. Humanity faced many threats in those days. Invaders from beyond our system arrived in droves. Pirates, called the Fallen, came to scavenge the remains of our golden age. The warlike Cabal came for our territory and resources, for conquest. The Hive, ravenous worshippers of death, came to feed their infernal hunger. And the Vex, strange living machines, came to recreate our world in their own brutal image. We fought with each other as well. For a time, chaos reigned. Though in the end, we came together to rebuild, to heal. We built a city under the Traveler, the last safe city of Earth. In this city, humanity lived peacefully in all its forms. The humans, Earth's original inhabitants, the Exos, marvels of the Golden Age, and the Awoken, a people touched by both light and dark. Lightbearers took an oath to protect the last city. Over the centuries, they earned the title Guardians. The Titans, paragons of strength and bravery. The Warlocks, mage scholars trained in the arcane arts. And the Hunters, bold adventurers gifted with cunning. Guardians know that when they stand together, they are stronger. And now, new threats use our own powers against us. The Black Fleet closes in, edging us toward a second collapse. And our greatest adversary, the voice in the darkness, is revealed. A being of unimaginable power. The Witness. But all is not lost. Brand new Guardians rise every day to shape the future of our solar system and beyond.
Okay, so we are a new Guardian.
Guardian? Eyes up, Guardian. It worked. You're alive. You don't know how long I've been looking for you. I'm a ghost. Actually, now I'm your ghost, and you? Well, you've been dead a long time. So you're going to see a lot of things you won't understand. This is fallen territory. We aren't safe here. I have to get you to the city. Hold still. Don't worry, I'm still with you. We need to move, fast.
Strand meditation. You've acquired the first strand meditation. You use these to acquire more strand abilities. Let's skip past that.
This place is an old cosmodrome, a Russian spaceport. It's quarantined now, and quite dangerous, but our only way forward is through that wall.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to go through the first quest that gets you to your first NPC to talk to give you more intros. I will pick back up with you then. I want you to run through this on your own. I don't want to spoil any of this for you.
I need to get you back to the city. To do that, we'll need a ship. But first, I need to find you a weapon. Let's keep moving.
So I will see you once we meet Han. That's going to be the individual, or is it Shaw? I'm sorry, I don't remember his name. Either Han or Shaw. Once we get to that NPC, that's when I will pick back up with you. I'll see you at the end of this quest line. Okay, so as I said, the first main quest will take you to Shaw Han, that you see down there. And at this point, he's going to give you continual quests as if you're brand spanking new. I highly recommend you take them, because not only is it going to teach you more and more about the game, about the enemies that you're going to be fighting. But as we already saw in the first quest, you learned about melee, your melee attack. Depending upon which class you chose, it might be different. As a hunter, it's a throwing of knives. As a warlock, it's basically a shooting out of a particular element, depending upon your subclass. And then as a titan, it's a punch. Now, that punch may have extra effects, depending upon if you're arc, if you're solar, or so on. But those are the melees. The first quest also talked to you about the super ability. And each super ability is going to be different depending upon your class and your subclass combination. At this point, you can continue the quest line that Shao Han took you. That will take you to eventually getting your first exotic weapon. So if we look at our inventory, you'll see different colors, each one of them corresponding to a different type of piece of gear. It is common, uncommon, rare, and then purple is legendary, yellow or gold is exotic. Pretty standard. You see it in almost all games these days. That's as far as I'm going to take it with respect to the discussion around gear, because as I said, the gear system is changing in Edge of Fate. Here's where you can see your subclass, and you can see I have 2 other options for this hunter. I'm currently on solar, but there is arc, there is void. There are a total of 6. 3 of them can only be achieved via campaigns. You're given 3 for free. You can expand on them at the main hub, the tower, which we're going to be going to next. And the other 3, you have to complete the Beyond Light campaign, the Final Shape campaign, and I'm trying to remember the other one. I can't remember the name of the other one off the top of my head. It takes place on Neptune. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Hey, this is Shaw down in the steppes.
You'll also notice there's a ship here with another quest line. If this is not your first character, or you don't want to skip, you want to skip ahead, get to that campaign content, you can go ahead and go straight to the tower right there at that ship. Take that. It will take you to the main hub called the tower. And then you can pick up from there and choose your own way of moving the game forward. But if you want to be more handheld, I highly recommend you take the quest that Shaw just gave you and go forward with that moving forward. So I'm going to skip ahead. I'm going to go to the tower, and I will see you there, and we will talk some more about some of the other pieces of information that you should know about as you're getting started with Destiny that the game will not probably give you good tutorials on. Okay, so this is the tower. This is the main hub for all of Destiny. It is on Earth. The entire game takes place in our solar system, if you hadn't figured that out already. This is going to be your main location for coming to for vendors, sometimes for getting access to different quests. There's a lot that can take place on this entire area. I highly recommend that you explore it using the map. I just hit my M button. You can see things that are blinking. They are people that you should go and talk to. Some of them are going to give you quests. For example, the bank job here from the gunsmith, he's going to give me a quest. Zavala over here, he's going to give me a quest. I've got Saint 14 over here. He's going to give me a quest. So you'll see who you should be going to talk to. Every single planet has a map. Some of the campaign areas also have maps. Some of them don't. So this is something you can always take a look at. Now, from the map, you can bring up the in-game store. This does cost silver, and silver is something that you purchase with real money. This is one of the ways that Bungie makes their money, as well as buying the game, of course, itself. And everything in here are cosmetics. I have a lot of cosmetics. I will be 100% honest with you. I am a fan of their cosmetics in most instances. But it's not necessarily for everybody. Not everybody should spend their money on it. Every single season, usually every 3 months, there is a season pass where you can get free stuff as you progress through the game. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this because it will change when the Edge of Fate content comes out. And then your quest lines. all of the quests that have been assigned to you or that you have accepted are going to show up here. This is a mess right now, and they are going to be reworking this in the Edge of Fate. So again, I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but to look at all quests, I click on this first button, and then I can just navigate from page to page for all of the quests that I currently have accepted. You'll notice I already have a bunch of them accepted. As a new character, as a new player, you, especially if you buy the game today, you will automatically get access to Lightfall, Final Shape, Witch Queen, Beyond Light, which are the 4 campaigns that are currently available within the game. There are going to be new campaigns coming with the Edge of Fate, but those are the 4 main campaigns that are available today. And then there are seasonal quests. There are quests that are specific for exotic weapons called exotic quests. There are also going to be quests tied to more of the co-op or PvP style content if you choose to venture into that. But this is where you're going to be able to see all of your quests, which ones are ready to turn in, things like that. We then, of course, have the map that we already looked at, and then destinations is the entire solar system. Now, I'm showing this to you knowing that Bungie is planning on changing this a little bit in Edge of Fate as well, but this page will be available for all of us old players who are used to this. This is the solar system. The tower is here on Earth, as well as the last city. Both of these are considered hubs. There are multiple hubs throughout the solar system. There is 2 of them that are currently on Earth. There is 1 of them on Mars. There is 1 on Neptune. And then there is 1 called in the Pale Heart. Again, I don't want to spoil campaigns for you. You'll learn about the Pale Heart in your own way. There is then a smallish hub on the moon, but the primary hubs are on Earth or in the Pale Heart. The majority of, you can guarantee you'll get access to all vendors and all things in the tower. That's the one place, always get access to everything. You'll see that there are other planets, other locations that you're going to be able to experience. Some of them have campaign quests, some of them don't. Some of them have other types of content. So let's pull up one real quickly. Let's pull up Nessus. Nessus you can think of as Venus, although Venus used to be a planet here as well. In any case, there are fast travel points, which you learned about in your first quest. There are public events that you can navigate your way to and join with other players on the planet to do that particular event. And then there are these little areas here. They are called Lost Sectors. They are very small dungeons that you can do by yourself or with a fire team. You can always put together a fire team of up to 3 people, yourself and 2 others, and you all can go in there and do this Lost Sector. Every single planet, every location has a number of lost sectors. I think the smallest number is 3. There are 3 on Europa. There's 4 on the moon, and then there's more in other areas. I think there's only 3 on Mars, if I remember correctly. In any case, you get the idea. Beyond the planets or the locations, some of these locations are not planets. They're lore-based locations that came out through the different campaigns. Dreaming City is a perfect example of that. There are 4 other items up here that are specific event locations. So if you want co-op-based PvE content, the Vanguard operations are your play. Vanguard ops are rotating strikes where significant amounts of enemies are going to be throwing out at you, and you and your fire team have to plow through them to get to a final boss. Nightfall is that same idea, but it is a single one that rotates every season, or every week, and it's just harder content. The power level requirements is much higher. Grandmaster is gated for those who only have the power levels to actually attempt it. It's even higher than regular Nightfalls. But this is co-op based PvE content. Then you have onslaughts. This is horde mode. And then as you perform within these different areas, you will clear experience nodes that you can then increase your battle pass. If you want more PvP content, then that's going to be the Crucible, and every season the types of PvP content rotates. I am not a fan of PvP content, never have been, so I don't know exactly what each of these are, how they function, or anything like that, but if you are PvP oriented, this is where you're going to go to get your PvP content. The one in the middle is a combination of the two. This is Gambit. You'll notice there's only one, but they rotate maps, they rotate enemies, they rotate bosses, and it's 4v4, but you start the match with PvE content fighting enemies, and then eventually the players can go back and forth between their specific arenas and try to kill each other to slow the other down from winning the game. So it's a combination of PvE and PvP. I'm a big fan of it. I love the Gambit. Not everybody does, which is one of the reasons why there's only one node in here. But I've always been a big fan of Gambit. And then lastly is Legends. This is all PvE content, and it's older, harder content. Non-campaign. So there are non-campaign oriented PvE content areas. The shortest versions are exotic quests that I already talked about. You can see there are 3 exotic quests. These are old exotic quests from previous campaigns, some of them not even available anymore, that Bungie has brought forward and made available in the new systems. So these tie in with, or not tie in with, but are also available alongside the exotic quests that are part of the main 4 campaigns. You then have dungeons. There are dungeons out on the different planets that I showed you. All of those dungeons are tied to the campaigns or the seasons, the seasonal content that has been made available. But there are other dungeons that have been around for quite some time. Prophecy is the perfect example. That was the very first dungeon ever made, and that is available here because it's not tied to a specific planet. And then lastly are raids. Now these are 6-man events or 6-man dungeons. They require a lot of cooperation. There are puzzles. There's a lot of enemies to kill. And there are 4 to 6 bosses, depending upon the size of the raid. I've only done 3 of the raids myself because, again, it requires 6 people. I don't always have 6 people. None of my friends play Destiny, but every single raid has a minimum of 4 bosses, 4 encounters, and some of them are puzzle-oriented, some of them are not. But some of the best content, a lot of people say, can be found in the raids. These 3 raids are older. They tie back to, again, campaigns that are no longer available, but Bungie wanted to make the raids available for play. And then if we go and take a look at, I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to show you. Yeah, okay, Dreaming City. So Dreaming City is a small location that was delivered as part of seasonal content 3 years ago, if I remember correctly. There is a dungeon here called the Shattered Throne. I'm a big fan of this dungeon. Huge fan of this dungeon, as a matter of fact. It's probably my favorite so far. And it was tied to that seasonal content. It's also tied to this location that's still available. And then there was also a raid as part of that seasonal content called The Last Wish. So that raid and that dungeon can be found here. There is a small-ish campaign available for the Dreaming City, as you can see here, called The Awakening. And then if you'll remember those Vanguard operations, that refers to these items that you'll find on the different maps. These are called strikes. These are co-op based events. They are not dungeons, as I would call them. You can think of them as a single quest inside of a campaign that has to be run co-op. Some of them are a lot of fun. Some of them are not my favorite things. but you get the idea. So as you can see, there's a lot of content for you as a new player in Destiny for you to just spend hundreds of hours getting yourself acclimated to everything that's happening in the game. And I actually recommend focusing on that. Let the game give you gear. And then learn what gear you like to use, what gear you don't like to use, especially with respect to weapons. You're going to like some that I won't like. Do the same thing with your subclasses. Now, real quickly, I said I wasn't going to talk about gear, and I'm not, because gear systems are changing in Edge of Fate. But I do want to talk about subclasses. So all I did just then was right-click on my solar subclass. Within my solar subclass, I have a dodge ability for hunters. Titans have a shield ability. And warlocks have what's called a rift ability. They basically place themselves inside of a circle, and that circle gives them things, whether it's empowerment, healing, different things like that. Then every single class has a jump or glide. In this case, the hunter starts with a triple jump. I've always liked it. Then there is a melee ability. In this case, it's the knife. I basically just throw 3 solar knives, and then everyone has a grenade ability. Now, that first quest does not teach you about the grenade. You learn about it in other parts of the New Light campaign. But everyone has a grenade. Now, one of the first quests that you're going to be given when you land on the tower as a new player, as a new character, is to talk to Ikora. She is your entrance into the subclasses, and not just to only use what you were given at the start, but you can see here when I hover over grenades, I've got all of these other ones that are currently locked because I don't have them yet. I don't own them yet. And the same thing is true for melee. The same thing is true for jump. The same thing is true for dodge. Then there are aspects and fragments that allow you to enhance your subclass abilities. There's a huge combination that you can put together for each of your subclasses. Now, as I mentioned, right now I have Solar, Arc, and Void. Those are the 3 subclasses that have been around since Destiny 1. The Lightfall campaign will introduce you to Strand. The Beyond Light campaign will introduce you to Stasis, and the Final Shape campaign will introduce you to Prismatic. So if you want to try the other subclasses, that's how you're going to have to go about it. But if you want to just stick with the 3 that are available to you, especially if you are playing the game for free, here are my recommendations. Take them for what you will. Hunter, Solar, Titan, Solar or Arc, Warlock, Void. Those would be my recommendations as starting places to mess around with the different subclasses. And then, as I said, let the campaigns or the content that you play give you your gear so that you can kind of level yourself up over time. And then when Edge of Fate comes out on July 15th, 2025, we'll learn together about the new systems and how you can make your gear better, how you can level yourself up along with your gear, and things like that. Now, the last 2 things I want to point out here, real quickly, you also will get vehicles and ships. These are purely used for transportation. They are purely used for cosmetic, as you can get cosmetics for them. You also have access to emotes. Finisher moves, which if you'll remember, you may have seen me do a flip in the air at one point. That was something that a finisher will do. And then there's also appearance. You can change your appearance. And then there's the emblem or the badge that you see at the very top of the screen. Next is inventory. Now, my inventory is going to look different from yours because the inventory is tied to your account, not the character. So as you collect things out in the world, in quests and so on, they will all come here. So that is something for you to keep in mind for the future as well. The last thing then is collections. Oh, I have a pattern to learn. As you collect different things, they will show up in your collections. This is just for you to keep track, for you to check things off. And then the journey is your character level based on your account. So that's going to do it for this particular video for new characters, new players to Destiny 2. Hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, please make sure to hit that like, subscribe, or comment button. And I'll see you back when Edge of Fate comes out on July 15th. And we'll talk about the new gear system and how that affects new players and new characters.